Hello everyone, this is going to be our video for section 5.3 on the mean and standard deviation of the binomial distribution. If you list all possible values of x in a binomial distribution, you get the binomial probability distribution, or the binomial probability density function, the binomial PDF. You can draw a histogram of the PDF and find the mean, variance, and standard deviation of it. For a general discrete probability distribution, you can find the mean, variance, and standard deviation for a PDF using the general formulas. Mu is the sum of all x times p of x. The variance, sigma squared, is x minus mu squared times p of x, and sigma, which is the standard deviation, is just the square root of the variance. These formulas are useful, but if you know the type of distribution, like binomial, you can find the mean and standard deviation using easier formulas. They are derived from these general formulas. Now, for a binomial distribution, mu, the expected number of successes, sigma squared, the variance, and sigma, the standard deviation for the number of successes, are given by the following formulas. The mean, mu, is just n times p. Sigma squared is just n times p times q. And sigma is just the square root of n times p times q. So we're going to look at an example of how to use these, and we're going to look at an example of how to do a lot of this stuff in the calculator. So this is a problem that we looked at before. We looked at this in 5.2. And here, the random variable is just the number of people who have green eyes. The probability distribution. This is actually something that we can generate in our calculator. So in this case, what we need to do is we need to go to second and vars to get to the distribution menu like we did before. We need to go to binom PDF. And this time we're only going to enter n, which in this case was 20, and p, which in this case was 0.01. And when we hit enter, this actually gives us a list. Now, if we want this list to be more usable for us, what we can do is we can hit this STO button in order to store this list into one of our lists that we can look at and stat edit and do stuff with. So we're going to hit STO, then second, and then L1, and then enter. And now this probability distribution should be stored in L1. And notice that here, all of these probability values are really small after, say, x equals 4. After x equals 4, in fact, these all start looking like they're just 0 if you start rounding them to, say, the 4th decimal place. But they're not. They are possible. They're just unlikely. So the probability distribution looks like this, or whatever we obtain in our calculator, right? I don't have the X column in mine over here. For drawing a histogram, we just draw a histogram the same way that we have in the past. We go to stat plot. We make sure that the plot is on. For the type, we want it to be a histogram. Our X list, we want to be L1 or wherever you stored your PDF. And we just want the frequency to be 1. And now we hit zoom. We go to zoom stat. And we get our histogram. And this graph is skewed to the right. For finding the mean, we can use one of those formulas that we just saw. We see that mu is equal to n times p. For a binomial distribution. And n times p, let's see, n is 20, and p was 0.01. So the mean is 0.2 people. Oh, I need to scroll down here. There we go. So you expect on average that out of 20 people, less than 1 would have green eyes. For finding the variance, since this is a binomial, we use the formula that sigma squared is n times p times q. Remember that q is 1 minus p, which is 1 minus 0.01, which is 0.99. So sigma squared is 20 times 0.01 times 0.99. And let's just double check what this is. This is 0.198. Our units are people squared. So again, this was just n times p times q. For this last one, find the standard deviation. Sigma is just the square root of the variance. It's the square root of 0.198. And here we get about 0.445 people. And that's really it for 5.3.